For a long time, the US has been terrified of Chinese EVs taking over the industry, to the extent they banned it, placed a massive 100% tariff on it, and even initiated investigations into the very software running inside these cars. Think about it. For over a century, the automobile was the ultimate symbol of American industrial supremacy. Detroit dictated how the world moved, but over the last decade, something shifted, quietly. And then all at once, China built an electric vehicle ecosystem so efficient, so cheap, and so technologically advanced that it has sent shockwaves through Washington. This isn't just about trade, it's a geopolitical panic attack. The US is using every legal barrier it has to keep these cars out. But why is the world's largest economy so afraid of a few cheap electric hatchbacks? To understand this fear, we have to go back to a time when China's domestic auto market relied heavily on joint ventures with foreign brands. They were making internal combustion engines, but they were decades behind Germany, Japan, and the US. So Beijing decided to play a completely different game.
From clothes to toys to electronics, the Made in China label has flooded the U.S. market. Could the auto industry be next?
In 2015, the Chinese government launched its Made in China 2025 industrial strategy. They realized that trying to catch up on gas-powered engines was a losing battle. But electric vehicles? EVs are fundamentally simpler. They have far fewer moving parts. The Chinese government poured an estimated $230 billion in state subsidies, tax breaks, and free land into the EV sector between 2009 and 2023. They didn't just subsidize factories, they subsidized demand. In cities like Beijing and Shanghai, getting a license plate for a gas car can take years or cost thousands of dollars via an auction. But if you bought an EV, you got a green license plate instantly, for free. While Detroit was printing massive profits on gas-guzzling SUVs and trucks, China was quietly building the supply chains, the engineering talent, and the infrastructure for a completely electric future. And that brings us to the most terrifying weapon in China's arsenal, the price tag. Meet the BYD Song Plus. In China, this fully electric luxury SUV sells for around $19,700 to $26,050. It has a long range, a modern interior, and smart infotainment. Even if you factor in shipping and safety modifications for Western markets, it's a car that could easily disrupt the global market. According to New York Times, the Chinese biggest EV automaker, BYD, surpassed America's biggest automaker Tesla in sales recently. Europe and China are also resolving their disputes over electric vehicles, and because of the U.S. automaker international problems, Canada has reached an agreement with China that will make it easier for Chinese cars to be sold in Canada.
Now, US President Donald Trump has threatened 100% tariffs on Canadian goods if Ottawa moves ahead with the trade deal with China.
If the U.S. opened its borders to these vehicles tomorrow, legacy American automakers, who are already struggling to make their EVs profitable, could face an existential crisis. To understand why China can build cars so cheaply, you have to look at the single most expensive component of an EV, the battery pack. The battery pack typically drives 30% to 40% of the total manufacturing cost of an electric vehicle. If you don't control the battery, you don't control the cost of the car. And right now, China completely dominates the battery world. Chinese firms, led by giants like CATL and BYD, manufacture over 80% of the world's EV battery cells. But Beijing's control goes much deeper than just assembling the final packs. They went upstream, securing the raw chemical elements required to build them. Take cobalt, a critical ingredient in many high-density EV batteries. The Democratic Republic of Congo produces over 70% of the world's cobalt. But here is the catch. Chinese state-backed companies own or finance the vast majority of the industrial cobalt mines in the DRC. China doesn't just mine it, they process it. China controls the global refining capacity for lithium, cobalt, manganese, and graphite. The U.S. can build all the auto assembly plants at once, but it still relies heavily on a supply chain that begins and ends in China. This creates a bizarre, deep irony for American industry. Take Tesla, the undisputed poster child of American EV innovation. When Tesla wanted to boost the efficiency and lower the costs of its Model Y built at its Berlin Gigafactory, it didn't look to U.S. suppliers. It signed a massive deal to use BYD's revolutionary Blade batteries. BYD lithium iron phosphate, or LFP. Blade batteries are smaller, safer, and can be integrated directly into the car's structural chassis. This cuts vehicle weight and significantly optimizes manufacturing cost. Furthermore, real-world data showed these BYD-powered Teslas maintained peak charging speeds much better than previous options. Think about how wild that is. The two biggest EV rivals on Earth are simultaneously dependent on one another. If the U.S. completely cuts off Chinese battery tech through sweeping trade restrictions, it risks cutting off its own domestic automakers from the most cost-efficient and advanced technology on Earth. So where does this leave us? The U.S. is caught in a profound green dilemma. On one hand, Washington wants to transition to clean energy rapidly to fight climate change. The fastest way to do that would be to let cheap, highly efficient Chinese EVs fill American roads. But on the other hand, doing so could completely decimate the domestic auto manufacturing base, wiping out hundreds of thousands of jobs and giving a strategic geopolitical rival total leverage over American transportation. For now, the U.S. has chosen isolation, building a wall of tariffs to buy its industries some time. But a wall only works if you use the time behind it to build something better. And right now, China isn't waiting. The global race for the future of transportation is already over, and the U.S. is scrambling just to stay on the track.